Okay, great, great, great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to all of you. Good morning to people joining from Europe, and good afternoon to all of you joining from India. It's been a really interesting exercise for us to actually have been, coordinating and speaking to all the Indian companies who have joined. Thank you so much for, your collaboration, your discussions with us to really share about your green technology needs, your opportunities and offerings and interest in, to collaborate with European partners. So this is really the reason why we've pulled together this very exciting, practical webinar to bring together the European and Indian ecosystem that is focused on a very important topic for all of us today, which is greening our economies and sustainable development. And I think all of us have joined today because we share a common mission to mitigate climate change, to reduce emissions across the planet, whether we are in Europe and India, we all belong to the same one planet. And so very quickly to introduce myself, I am Lina Pichet Thomas, the Director of Global Business Inroads, that is also the representative of the Enterprise Europe Network in India. You will hear a little bit more about who the Enterprise Europe Network network is from my fellow speaker Marco Gorini in a bit. But I'm going to set the context for today's program a little bit especially for the audience joining us from Europe. One of the missions actually of Enterprise Europe Network and our collaboration here with India is to really, apart from building partnerships between European and Indian companies, we also are focused on knowledge exchange. And oftentimes when I'm in Europe, I hear that there's very little awareness about India and what's happening there. You only hear about India in the media, but not about the practical realities and the growing opportunities. And also in India, there is very little information on really who are the companies, what are they doing, what are the policy level actions in Europe, where are the market opportunities, and also who are the technology companies, etc. So we have two missions. One is to build awareness between the companies and to create these kind of platforms for knowledge exchange, but most importantly, to bring the companies together, to bring the investment, to bring the ecosystems together to drive deployment in this very important area. Of course, when it comes to climate change, you're talking about energy and environment. Today, we are going to focus on the topic of renewable energy and energy efficiency. As you know, this area is huge, but we wanted to keep a focus and start with focusing on the renewable energy and energy efficiency dimension of India's green technology needs and opportunities. So a quick, rundown on where India is today. First of all, India has committed to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2070, a very important goal, which was announced quite recently. And green technology in India is projected to achieve a market size of 45 to 55 billion. So while we want to achieve these net zero goals, we are also in India focusing on building a whole industry around it. So even traditional oil companies to new innovators and startups are all joining the fray to leverage these market opportunities, which also then presents a unique opportunity for European companies that want to harness business opportunities in India. The climate sector in India overall is on a growth curve. We have about 170 Indian climate tech startups who have raised funds in 2021, followed by a 2.2 billion investment in the sector across 143 startups in 2022. And geopolitical situation in India is very strong today. You might have heard that the G20 presidency was held by India in the last year, and it ended quite successfully. And government has envisioned making India a USD $1 trillion economy by 2025. So, we are looking at very, very high growth rates within India. Very importantly, India also wants to position itself as a champion of the global South. And especially when it comes to, adapting the sustainable development goals and sustainability solutions. And most importantly, being aware that these sustainability solutions already exist all around the world. And how can India, as a champion of the global South, become the partner up with the global North to make these solutions more affordable for, Africa, India, as well as the whole of the ASEAN. So it strategically as well, India is well positioned to become a partner of, the European Union. The renewable energy sector is moving very fast in India. India is scaling its solar offshore wind capacities, and there is a steady decrease in the cost of solar and wind, and that the drop has been significant. That has also helped in scaling deployment. A new development is the announcement of the India Middle East European Economic Corridor. I don't know how many of you are aware about this, but this is going to definitely have a huge impact on the trade relations between Europe and India as well. And it will also include a hydrogen pipeline between Europe and India. And FDI in renewable energy sector in India overall stood at 250 million euros in the last quarter. And importantly, the government is permitting FDI, foreign direct investment up to 100% in the renewable energy sector. So in fact, when you're coming to India, you can come in here through two methods. One is the direct method, that is you invest directly in India. And the second is an indirect method that you can even start with having a local representative, distributor or partner here in the country. A little bit more, about the Indian opportunity. It's the third largest energy consuming country. It targets about 500 gigawatt non-fossil electricity generation. I'm going to go through a bit fast. These slides will be made available to you. But very quickly to give you an overview, we have India will add 58 gigawatt of wind energy capacity. They will achieve 280 gigawatt of solar capacity by 2030. We will add 17, almost 18 gigawatts of hydropower by 2030. Given all this new addition and also a focus on energy storage, there is a need for smart grid management in the country. So solutions that can manage power loads, the variable loads, etc., are much needed here. And there's also local innovation taking place in India in these areas. There is a national hydrogen mission to make India a leading producer and supplier in the world, with developing a very large, so there is, on one hand, India is a good market to bring in new hydrogen energy solutions, and is also going to be an exporter of hydrogen to new markets. And so we also have, guidelines for pumped hydro energy storage. And potentially, and very importantly, to make all this growth happen, skilling India is going to become a very important aspect. We've actually spoken to institutions in Europe that want to get involved in, skilling India, developing more green jobs, because there is a big shortfall in jobs in the green space, because the market is moving fast, technology is moving fast, but skill education, that's something that needs to grow equally fast as well. A little bit more about this is that, when you look at the industrial growth in India, when you look at India growing to be a large manufacturing hub, green solutions for the manufacturing industry is going to become very important, be it minimizing of waste generation, resource consumption, maximizing of energy efficiency. So these are, again, areas with very large opportunities in India. Every manufacturing industry is today actually looking at greening, and especially, with the various green carbon taxes to enter to actually export to Europe, that is going to be, manufacturing in India is going to have to take a more greening approach to be competitive, to continue to be an exporter to the European Union. So they will be requiring access to technology solutions that can help green the manufacturing industry overall. And when it comes to utility scale, there is a big need for waste to energy solutions, because India is going to increase its capacity in the waste to energy space, very soon. And apart from this, a few growing areas that you will hear from some of the companies very specifically as well. But overall, electric vehicles, zero emission vehicles, looking at charging infrastructure, manufacturing and development of telematics for autonomous vehicles, looking at battery technologies itself is going to be a very important area of focus, both I know for Europe and India. And importantly, the recycling of battery components, given that India is highly dependent on import, any kind of solutions for recycling, battery components is going to be of significance and interest. And a little bit of information on, energy storage here in India. Overall, India requires a large amount of energy storage capacity, and there is going to be a big buildup in energy storage solutions for the Indian market. And also the financing and funding. There are a lot of blended financing instruments that are looking at India, whether it is non-profits, government grants, the banking sector, the private sector, corporates, investors, VCs. There is a large growth in both public and private sector funding in India. And there is also an interest for working with the European funding ecosystem to actually bring European technologies into India, and also look at blending financing instruments to finance projects for deployment of solutions in India. So, with this, that's a quick summary, but you'll be hearing specific cases, and I think that's what you all are here. But I just thought I should very quickly introduce you to who we are, and the opportunity to be aware that the Enterprise Europe Network has a node in India. We are an organization called Global Business Inroads, whose mission is to scale technology access and deployment for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, climate action being a very important pillar of our work. We have an office in India, in Europe, in Bulgaria, in the UK, and the United States, really to create a global platform to scale technology access and deployment, and providing SMEs with the necessary services in India that can facilitate these partnerships and hand-holding of SMEs, so you're navigated and well supported here in India for the short and the long term. So this is a quick introduction about us. And the reason for this webinar today is because we launched a campaign called Tech for Greening Industry, enabling the E of ESG. So while ESG reporting is, a policy level requirement in India, industry also needs to be enabled. So we are very, very keen to work with Indian industry to enable the E, to provide access to solutions, technology solutions, financing, developing of local business models for deployment. So and we are inviting European green technology solution companies to actually partner with the Indian ecosystem to scale deployment and enable the greening of Indian industry. So how do we make it possible? First of all, we work with Indian industry to understand your needs. We then invite Indian companies to showcase their needs as a technology scouter on our global tech interface platform. So you can actually sign up and put up your needs for technology on the GTI platform. Then once you register as a technology scouter, we connect you with best-in-class green tech solutions from around the world, and then work with you for develop the local business model and deployment. So it's quite simple, and there is a process in place. We have needs in place. We have technologies in place. We all just need to get together to get it done. So with this, I'm just going to quickly move to sharing about, to kind of give everybody a teaser before I open up the agenda to all of the other speakers. We have been talking to various Indian companies about their needs. And one, for example, that I'm sharing today, you'll be hearing from Mo, is, a requirement for innovative technologies for biodiesel production by a large Indian conglomerate. They are looking for sustainable technologies for sustainable aviation fuel production, and also for green hydrogen production in India, especially for solutions for storage, logistics, and transportation. Importantly, this company, while it's looking for technologies for SAF and green hydrogen, they are also looking for customers in Europe then to supply this green hydrogen to, as well as to, so for European partners for both technology as well as supply of green hydrogen. Yeah, and another similar example of another Indian conglomerate who couldn't join today, that is also looking to offer, looking for off-takers of green ammonia solutions in Europe. And with this, I am quickly going to take you through the agenda for today. So, of course, thank you all for joining. But after me now, you will hear from the EU delegation in India about what are the EU-India green initiatives. You will also hear about who is the Enterprise Europe Network for all your information. Then we'll have about 4 Indian companies talking about their technology requests. What are they looking for their strategic business growths? Then we will have a couple of Indian companies also sharing about technology offers for Europe. And, a quick intervention by DG Grow. And after this, we will have a little bit of time for Q&A. So keep your questions for the end. We will request you all to stay on mute while we have these presentations going, and then open up for Q&A. So thank you very much. And then I hand over now to Bartosz from the EU delegation to share about EU-India initiatives on green technologies. Welcome, Bartosz.
Hello, good afternoon. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, wonderful. So, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this very, very important, very timely event, which in fact fits perfectly in the overall momentum of the strengthened cooperation between the EU and India in the area of green economy and the green technology. So, well, in fact, I'm very new here in Delhi. I took the position of Energy, Climate Action and Environment Councillor just 3 weeks ago. So, in fact, this is my first public intervention. So, thanks for this as well. But okay, I'm already very profoundly impressed by the amount and intensity of work, of joint actions, projects, activities that take place practically on a daily basis here in the context of our cooperation with India. And I'm very glad that I can address such a large and diverse group of both Indian and European entrepreneurs who are truly interested in establishing the working relationships with each other. Innovation, research, and technology on one hand, and sustainability, clean energy, and climate action on the other hand, are in fact the 2 major streams of work the EU is undertaking in cooperation with India. So, especially this workshop, but more generally, also the action that you are promoting, which focuses on facilitating the exchanges between European and Indian companies in the field of green technology and renewable energy, fits perfectly in both of those streams of cooperation. Let me, as my intervention, let me perhaps give you a brief overview of the institutional relations and the cooperation between the European Union and India in this field, which will surely offer a great potential for your business chances and business opportunities. As you may be aware, one of the most important platforms of dialogue between the European Union and India, which was established in April last year and already in May this year has held its first ministerial level meeting, is the Trade and Technology Council. That's really a very, very important development in our bilateral relations. This Trade and Technology Council is a key forum to deepen the strategic partnership on trade and technology between the 2 partners. As the geostrategic challenges have recently strengthened both the EU and India's common interest in ensuring security, prosperity, and sustainable development based on shared values, this initiative will help further increase not only the EU-India bilateral trade, which is already at the historical heights, but also the cooperation in new technologies and sustainable development. Let me go just a little bit deeper into specific topics and issues to be discussed in the context of this cooperation platform. Within the framework of the TTC, as we call it, so Trade and Technology Council, we have established 3 working groups. The first working group number 1, covers strategic technologies, digital governance, and digital connectivity. The working group number 2 focuses on green and clean energy technologies. And working group number 3 is on trade, investment, and resilient value chains. So I guess you have noticed, you have found out that of particular interest for the participants of this seminar is the working group number 2, which concerns green and clean energy technologies and the importance of research and innovation in that context. In the joint statement, which was adopted at the first ministerial meeting, May of this year, we can read the following statement. The European Union and India have set ambitious goals of achieving net zero emissions by 2050 and 2070, respectively. They have also taken commitments to halt and reverse biodiversity loss by 2030 and to promote circular economy. Achieving these targets and objectives will require significant investments in new clean technologies, as well as increased research and innovation efforts. To this end, working group number 2 will focus on relevant aspects of 3 areas. And here, number 1, renewable and low carbon hydrogen. Number 2, batteries for electrical vehicles. And number 3, standards. So under these 3 focus areas, the European Union and India will work on wastewater to energy and on waste to hydrogen. They will try to share knowledge on circularity aspects of batteries and recover raw materials. And they will try to, or they aim at developing standards that can ensure bilateral interoperability, including for renewable and low carbon hydrogen. Especially the last point is very worth underlying, because with increased global trade and cooperation, the international standards play a crucial cross-cutting role in further facilitating bilateral and multilateral exchanges. So their relevance, technological gaps, and technological evolution between the 2 sides will also be analyzed. Well, there are also some other works in addition to those main points that I mentioned. It's the joint wastewater treatment management projects to facilitate their market uptake, and the gap analysis on how to tackle marine plastic litter or pollution. But okay, that's also very, very relevant. But I would really focus on those first 3 items that I mentioned before. By investing in all these areas, the European Union and India will seek to drive innovation and to promote sustainable development, and also at the same time help meet their respective climate targets, strengthen the role of startups, and build skills and capacity. So practically all of it, all what I have just said, is of direct interest for you, for the business, for the entrepreneurs. So let me just suggest that as we at the government to government level, we are working on practical implementation of those still a little bit abstract ideas, but also you, Indian, but also European incubators, SMEs, and startups working in these areas are more than welcome to propose and submit the innovative ideas. And of course, the organizers of this seminar, our friends from the Enterprise Europe Network, I'm sure that would be very happy to further channel your proposals. There are, of course, many other streams of work under the general umbrella of green technology that we are undertaking here in Delhi, but okay, I'm sure I will not have time to describe all of them. So let me just mention one additional, which not to overburden you with the information, but this one is probably the largest and the most overarching, which is so-called Clean Energy and Climate Partnership, which covers a work agenda of 2 years and includes an impressive amount of 50 activities, ranging from the implementation of renewable energy with special focus on solar energy, offshore wind and green hydrogen, through energy efficiency, electricity. Here we have smart grids, storage, electricity markets, up to energy security. This is just to let you know that the first cycle of this platform, this partnership, which is covering years 2021 to 2023, it's slowly coming to an end. And now we are actively discussing with the Indian side the priorities and specific actions to be included in the second cycle, which will start next year. So hopefully, again, more space for innovative ideas and joint work between us at the governmental level, but also between the business representatives of both sides. Yeah, I think I'm out of time. I already fulfilled my 10 minutes. So let me just finish here. Just let you know that these are by far not the only two activities, not the only two actions that we are doing together, but they are like the most powerful, the most visible ones. So let me finish here. I wish you an interesting seminar, and above all, I wish you a very interesting joint projects and successful cooperation. So thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, have a good seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bartos, for joining in today, and yeah, looking forward to working with you in the future, and welcome to India again. Looking forward to working with you. Next, I would like to invite Marco Gorini from representing Enterprise Europe Network, the sector group on renewable energy, as well as the thematic group on internationalization. Marco, over to you.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much, Lina, Arsha, and Chandra for organizing such an event. Let me share my screen with a very brief presentation. I will be very, very brief because I want to leave the floor to the Indian companies as well. Can you see it? Just few words about Enterprise Europe Network, because actually this event is a format where we invited our clients. Actually, in the most of the participants are European companies interested to understand how to collaborate and which are the opportunities for collaboration. Actually, also Sina underlined very, very well actually the opportunities and how India is becoming a strategic partner for Europe, because it's one of the faster growing economy in the world. So is definitely also for my organization. My name is Marco Gorini. I work for Veneto Innovazione, which is the governmental agency for innovation here in Venice region. And for us, for example, be in contact with GBEI, with Global Business Inroads, is crucial, because we succeed in this way. We really to match offer and demands, and to create and to facilitate. And this is the same for the other member of Enterprise Europe Network. Actually, the network is composed of business support organization like innovation agency like Veneto Innovazione, but also we have Chamber of Commerce, universities, and also professional association. And actually we cover at the moment 54 countries, but actually the network is growing every year, because other countries are interested to join the network. We are more than 500 organizations involved in organization. We are brokers. So our main activities is the brokering part of the business. So we facilitated the match, as I said, between the demand and the offer, and create a collaboration. Actually, we provide also the organization, our local clients with different kind of services regarding innovation, sustainability, resilience, digitalization, internationalization. But actually the core service is the partnering services. Actually, also Enterprise Network is a merging of different previous network. Myself, I have been working for the network since 2000, because as I said, for Veneto Innovazione is crucial to have partners like GBI around the world. Because of this part of the services, the partnering services. Actually, the network has a strong expertise to create the partnerships in order to manufacturer and distributor agreements for the businesses in order to facilitate access to market, also to find new technology. Actually, there are some local company looking for new solution, but actually is not immediate that they can find it locally at the regional level. So we support this organization also to look around, to scout this new technology around the world, to have to be the best on that sector. And then also we facilitate the cooperation, because also our clients are also researchers and universities. Very briefly, also the sector group is a sector group. Actually, within the network, we have different sector group for the different industrial ecosystem. We have a specific one on renewable energy. Actually, also, I bring you the greetings from Sonia Groher-Reicht. She's the chair of the sector group renewable energy. Unfortunately, she had an accident last week, and she's okay. She's recovering, but actually, she was not able today to join our. So she asked me. I'm co-chair of the thematic group internationalization. To provide you with the, but also I'm a member of this sector group, and in this sector group we are 68 members, and we work together focusing on these topics related to energy sector, because so we play the role of catalyst for companies interested to reach a business or technology agreement on the energy sector, and this is why also about this event today, because we will have now some Indian industries and company presenting their collaboration opportunities. And so I thank you again for organizing this event, Arsha and Alina and Chandra, and I would like to leave the floor to the Indian companies to present themselves.
Thank you so much, Marco, for giving us an overview of Enterprise Europe Network. We've also been glad, and our interactions as GBI, as an EEN node in India, have been very, very fruitful, and we're looking forward to building this network together.
Yeah, also because we are really, I understand, also speak with some local clients, that it's also important to raise the awareness, like Lina said before, about the opportunity, the growing opportunities there are in India. I was in India in 2016. I was in Mumbai, in Bangalore, in Kolkata, in New Delhi, and I met many companies, and I realized how many opportunities we have to facilitate. I mean, because this is our role of our intermediary role. I mean, thanks.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to continuing to work with you. Now, just getting back to one of the main reasons why everyone's here today, I would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. Sundaresan. He's the Vice President, EV and E-Mobility Solutions for Ashok Leyland. Ashok Leyland, for those of you who don't know, is one of the largest Indian multinational automotive manufacturer. They're one of the largest manufacturers of commercial vehicles, buses, and trucks globally, as well as in India. They've also pioneered and launched India's first battery swapping EV bus. And I'd like to invite Mr. Sundaresan to talk a little bit more about Ashok Leyland and what their objectives are in terms of technology collaborations in the EV and the mobility sector. Mr. Sundaresan, over to you.
Thanks, Harsha. Thanks for inviting me and giving us an opportunity to present about our overall what we are doing and where we see opportunities for us to work together. I hope you can see my presentation in presentation.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can see. Go ahead.
Thanks. I mean, we all heard so far. So zero carbon technologies are a must for our survival as the planet. And within that, I'll talk about why the role that commercial vehicles play in overall meeting our climate goals, and our assessment, that is Ashok Leyland's assessment of market potential for the next few years. Okay. Why are commercial vehicles important? Now, if we look at So obviously this goal is important, whether it's 1.5, 2 degree or 2.5, whatever. We want to limit the global warming as a minimum as possible. And if we want to do this, commercial vehicles play a very big role. Why? Let's look at the numbers. This is the Indian market. Again, for those who don't know the numbers, if you just look at these numbers, they are fairly huge. So the total is of the order of 24 or 20 million vehicles a year. But a large part of that is two-wheelers. So two-wheelers actually account for almost 90% of that number. So if we take out these two-wheelers, just because the rest, everything kind of becomes minuscule when compared to the two-wheelers. If we remove these two-wheelers, then passenger vehicles, the cars and the SUVs, they become the next dominant figure. But even now, we still see commercial vehicles as being a fairly small part of that. But that is only part of the story, if you look at it in terms of numbers. Then within that small part, it is very highly fragmented. So about 75% of that market is run by owner operators, and they own up to a maximum of 5 trucks. And only 10% of that market is run by big fleet operators who own more than 20 trucks. Again, definition of a big fleet operator is something totally different from that of Europe. So here, if somebody owns more than 20 trucks, they become a big fleet operator. And because of this fragmentation, utilization is low. So there is a lot of time the trucks just run on either part load or completely empty. And in order to make up for that, overloading becomes common. That's the only way of survival for these truck owners. But now comes the other side of the story. If we look at fuel consumption, though the vehicles have been so small in terms of million tons of equivalent of gasoline, the medium and heavy duty vehicles, the commercial vehicles, they contribute or they consume much, much more than what their numbers indicate. So the other bar graph, these were not even visible. Now we see that two-wheelers again barely make a presence on this bar graph. And that translates emissions also. So if we look at share of trucks in the overall vehicle stock, is about 3%. But if we look at their emissions, either carbon dioxide or particulate matter, then they contribute again a big fraction of the overall emissions from road transport. So this is the reason why electrification or zero carbon solutions in general for trucks become important. And if we look at total cost of ownership, what matters is more the fuel. So today the fuel is again probably about 80% of the overall total cost of operation. The initial capital is low, insurance and registration is this, driver wages, finally maintenance and tire. These are all small parts, and fuel is the biggest contributor to overall total cost of ownership. And then, as I briefly mentioned, the Indian trucking industry is different from rest of the world, not just the Western world, but also compared to BRICS, also BRICS nations also, the average daily distance covered is much lesser. So because of that, the revenue per truck is on the lower side. And again, because of this, even though fuel is a large part of the total cost, if an extra amount is to be spent to reduce that fuel cost, then that trade-off is at a different level altogether. If the vehicle runs far longer, covers more kilometers in a year, then in a year you save by improving fuel economy is much more as compared to the case in India where you are running a lesser number of kilometers. So let's say the same technology which costs maybe let's say 10,000 rupees. You can see the impact in 1 year in Europe, but in India it will take 2 years because it takes that much longer to cover the same distance to see the benefit. And then the other implications of empty running and then the load factor. So all these are making the Indian situation a little different from the rest of the world. And that means that the solutions that we need to offer also differ. The fragmentation, I already talked. The variety of product variants we have, and then the applications. Both are very, very, very diverse set. So if in terms of product range, we have, this is Ashok Leyland's product range, but then if you look at the overall market, then the three-wheelers also come as cargo vehicles. And they start with GVW of 0.6 tons and all the way up, go up all the way to 55 tons. And in terms of distance they cover, we have three clear segments. Short haul, which is mostly within the city or close to the city, they cover only about 100 to 150 kilometers a day. Then come the medium haul or more like regional delivery. These are 150 to 400 kilometers a day. And long haul, very small percentage of the total number of trucks, they cover more than 400 kilometers. And then for each that daily range segment, the kind of goods they carry are completely different. But again, we cannot really, in Europe, you will see a lot of custom trucks. So for a specific application, the truck is customized, and because of that, certain advantages are there. But in India, given this varied nature, it becomes difficult because otherwise then the truck becomes earmarked only for that application, and then the revenue potential becomes that much lesser. So people opt for as generic a truck as possible and try to use it across different applications. So that also leads to the requirement to make the truck as generic as possible. So with all that, let's look at what are the candidate technologies for decarbonization. There are multiple technologies. So the first is obviously the electric vehicles, but then all the other options are also in consideration in India. So CNG, LNG, biofuels, synthetic fuels, depending on the way they are produced. And I think so CNG, LNG, even though fossil fuel, but per kilowatt hour of energy, the amount of carbon dioxide produced is lesser as compared to diesel. So that's recognized as an interim solution. Biofuels and synthetic fuels, we can kind of make it as a net zero carbon by looking at all the way from production till even use. Then, of course, hybrids for improving the fuel economy. Then you have the hydrogen internal combustion engine and the fuel cell option with hydrogen. So all those options are there, and we can just compare what it means in terms of ultimately what matters is the cost. So in terms of CO2, what is it per kilometer? And in terms of capital cost and lifetime fuel cost, how do they stack up? If we just look at the total costs, we do see that there are options which are kind of close to this. So especially if we look at BEV, a total of 24 million versus diesel capital plus lifetime cost of 23.7. So this seems to be in more or less the same range. But because what I explained so far in terms of the fragmented nature of the market and then the ownership pattern, etc., this high upfront cost is a bottleneck because most of the trucks are purchased based on loans, and getting a loan for this amount is a challenge, and the that has a number of reasons why that is a challenge, and the affordability of that is also a challenge. And you buy a truck, and if you can't repurpose it for some other application, in a BEV, you are upfront committing to a certain range. You want a 250-kilometer range truck. Then if you are using it for a 100-kilometer range use, then obviously you have paid a lot more than what you need. And also the payload loss because of that is a factor. So with all that, what we did is we kind of did sector-wise analysis. So what kind of a technology and how is the cost going to evolve over the next few years? Because nothing is static. And then how will that segment be disposed towards new technologies? Are they willing to experiment? Will the customers be willing to take some risk, etc.? And then ecosystem, will there be chargers available, or if it is hydrogen, will hydrogen be available? Even for CNG, LNG, availability is a challenge. So with all that, what the conclusion that we came to is that all technologies are going to be present in India. There is not a single technology that can be ruled out. And the only way we can survive is to have pretty much products across all those fuels. And that's the reason you will keep seeing a lot of news about Ashok Leyland introducing products on all those options, including hybrids. And then depending on the different applications also, we did a kind of projection and identified the key drivers in terms of government policies, in terms of other technology evolutions, infrastructure developments, etc., as to what is likely to happen across that. So with this analysis, where we think we can work with partners is, see, again, overall, we expect fossil fuel or internal combustion engines to exist for fairly long time. And so fuel economy improvement or CO2 emissions reduction in fossil fuel vehicles remains a key area of interest. For the same reason, exhaust after treatment systems for fossil fuel or even hydrogen internal combustion engines. So the SCR or NOx management, if any innovative ways are there. The other, as I said, is multi-fuel combustion engines, because we do see customers wanting to switch from one fuel to another because things change. Suddenly CNG is cheaper. After a few months, it becomes something else. So how can we offer these multi-fuel combustion engines? Or with very small modifications, can we kind of repurpose an engine from one fuel to another fuel? So anything like that. Then hybrids. The biggest problem with hybrids right now is again the upfront cost. So how do we make that affordable? New topologies or new energy management algorithms, or simple kinetic energy recovery systems. Given the nature of traffic in India, braking is very, very frequent. So how can that be controlled? Then when it comes to electric vehicles or fuel cell electric vehicles, one thing we are seeing is, given Indian ambient conditions, thermal management is very key. And today, the thermal management is distributed for all the components. So are there ways in which it can be integrated? So again, for better efficiency, better cost. Then, of course, in EV and SEV, anything new. That is where I guess most development is happening, whether it is battery pack, whether it is motors, whether it's various power conversion devices. So we look for novel technologies there. The other is, of course, the battery life monitoring, predicting, and even providing assistance to the drivers and owners on what they can do to prolong life. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So in general, Ashok Leyland is working on all the technologies, all the zero carbon technologies, and anything that can improve the overall value proposition of any technology is of interest. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving us that overview of how commercial vehicles can also play a huge role in mitigating climate change and greenhouse gas emissions, and the leading role that Ashok Leyland's already has been taken and is interested in taking. Thank you so much for that. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Siddharth Mayur. He's the founder and managing director from H2E Power Systems Limited. So H2E, I mean, they provide solid oxide and PEM technologies for fuel cell solutions for stationary and the mobility sector. They also provide solutions for electrolyzers for production in green hydrogen and e-fuels. Siddharth, thank you so much for joining us today, and yeah, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Lina and Harsha, and for putting this seminar together. I think this is the right time and right opportunity, and there always is a specific time for any idea, and the time has come for the overall net zero ecosystem. And I think the greater opportunity is for bringing technologies from Europe into India and then mass scaling those technologies for the Indian market and also for markets within Europe or rest of the world. So in that sense, I think this is the right forum and the right people that we are talking to. I will not take a lot of time. I will be very brief, but I want to point out certain important areas where we could work together with European agencies, European companies, whether it is SMEs or large established companies, or even the European partnerships with India, whether it is government-to-government partnership or whether it is government and academia-related partnerships. There is a lot of potential in doing what we are doing. My company, H2E Power, we are a 14-year-old company, and we've been involved with fuel cell and electrolyzer development. We did this development with a German institute called Fraunhofer, so we already have a German connection of that sort. We also did manufacturing activities in Switzerland and Germany, and then we've serviced almost about 600 customers in Germany with our fuel cell product. We have now shifted our entire manufacturing base to India, and we are creating a very large integrated global manufacturing hub in India for both electrolyzers as well as the fuel cell technology. So these are the areas that we work in as a company. One is, of course, manufacturing of electrolyzers and fuel cells, and dealing into the secondary product or the downstream products, that is hydrogen, ammonia, SAF, methanol, and so on and so forth. So that is one big area where we are also looking at collaborating with academia or companies within Europe who can bring in core know-how on component level chemistries. So if you're looking at an electrolyzer, for instance, at the cell level or on the MEAs, the membranes, these are things that we really need to localize in order to bring down the cost and make this whole story more and more sustainable. And also we're looking at newer processes. There are a lot of companies working on different chemistries on the entire electrolyzer space or even the fuel cell space. So very happy to connect and collaborate with more and more European companies on these two subjects, which are the core manufacturing subjects. The second area we work on is the mobility segment, where we are hybridizing our solutions. So we take a fuel cell, battery, renewables, the electrolyzer all together, and we provide independent charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. The same infrastructure in future can be used for powering the hydrogen vehicles that Mr. Sundaresan also pointed out during his presentation. The third area is the overall gambit of the end-to-end net zero solutions, as we call them. So green hydrogen is a good buzzword, and we are also working on that. But the end goal is net zero, and therefore looking at ideas or looking at solutions which can foster this entire distributed generation and distributed utilization of biofuels, of green fuels, and producing green electricity. So we are basically trying to create a circular economy, and that is where we are developing algorithms. We are looking to partner with companies who are working on AI, who are working on the entire IT infrastructure gambit, because all these technologies, these are all going to be individual or independent power plants, whether it is a commercial vehicle carrying a fuel cell, or whether it is a three-wheeler auto in India carrying a battery. These are all virtual power plants, and then we need to get all of them integrated into one, create more kind of a blockchain that will be able to distribute power and give power on demand. So, we're trying to really make it a distributed model. And when I always talk about competition, the competition for me is always with the grid. The competition is with the fossil. Competition never is between a solar and a fuel cell, or a solar and an electrolyzer. All of these complementary technologies and renewables ought to come together for us to develop and deliver a solution which is not only cost effective, but is also sustainable. And I think both of these things go hand in hand. And if you're looking at the Indian market, the market is very large, but the market is very cost sensitive. So, so these are the areas, specifically the product, the green solutions, and the build, operate, own products where we develop the molecule. And these are all the areas where a lot of collaborative efforts or collaborations can happen. And we can work jointly on several programs to make this happen. SAF, for example, green steel is another example. Green shipping, we are working on producing ammonia-based fuel cells for shipping industry. So that's another area of deep cooperation that is expected. And I think one more area which is never spoken about is the agriculture value chain. You're talking from the farm to fork. That entire value chain has a lot of innovation that is required, and partnerships that can be done. This, of course, is a hydrogen roadmap. A lot of us have seen a lot of these slides in different presentations, so I will not really, get into the details of it. Of course, I'll be sharing this presentation. And last but not the least, I always see it as three sectors: the OEM, the component manufacturers, and the EPC. So these are areas where we as a company, and also we as a country, are looking for collaborations from our European counterparts, because you people have already spent about 2 decades and more than about 80-90 billion euros in developing the technology. So, rather than reinventing the wheel, we work together and we do the bit of work on the frugal part of things, on bringing the cost down, making us the right alternative for the China Plus strategy, so, which can become more of a manufacturing hub on a global scale. Very happy to, take questions and take this discussion further, especially Marco, what you mentioned in your presentation. I think this is something that we should connect offline, and then probably also meet and see where we can take this, because we are also doing a lot of work on the skill development part. Where we have developed a program, and then we are looking at further collaborating on that program to develop at least 100,000 energy entrepreneurs by the end of this decade. So that will not only serve the last mile on the Indian context, but India can also become exporter of manpower, just like India is doing in the software space or the software services space in the world today. So thank you very much again, Lina and Harsha, for this opportunity. Looking forward to taking this discussion to our, to a more logical beginning.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, it's very welcoming to hear, the opportunities for collaboration between India and Europe. And like you mentioned, yeah, there's no point reinventing the wheel. There's a lot of opportunity, like in any other technology space, to look at collaborations, to develop technologies, between Europe and India. Thank you so much for your time. Next, I'm not sure I can see Abhishek. Abhishek, are you here from Puravankara? Unfortunately, we got a message from them earlier saying they couldn't join in, but I think I can see him online. But in any case, unfortunately, Puravankara, Abhishek couldn't join us today. in the last minute. He had some commitments. But just to give you a quick overview, Puravankara Limited is a 45-year-old real estate development company. I mean, they have various commercial real estate as well as residential buildings across India. They currently have about 20 million square feet of residential and commercial space under construction. And they are very, very keen on adopting green solutions in the construction as well as the commercial real estate and residential real estate sector as well. For example, GBI has, and Puravankara company currently working with a Dutch solar facade technology company to see how it can be integrated into one of their new developments. Similarly, so they are very keen and interested. Unfortunately, they couldn't join today, but we'll definitely, share some of their requirements down the line with some of the European counterparts that have joined in today. With that, I would like to now invite Zaran Engineer, who's the president and of operations of Industrial Boilers. So they are an Indian SME that is currently have developed a pressure reducing turbine that can convert waste heat into energy. Zaran, over to you.
Yeah. Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Leena, Shraddha, and Harsha for this opportunity. Well, we at IBL have make boilers, steam turbines, as well as the pollution control equipments that go along with the thing. So in a way, we give the complete product solution for any industry, be it paper, chemical, textile, pharma, who require steam or heating. And we are doing a lot on the sustainable fuels like the bio waste, the agro wastes, also lean hydrogen fired boilers. So all of this come into our product portfolios, where we make boilers that run on all sorts of agro waste like briquettes. Then you can say rice husk, mustard straw, rice straw. So we have all those technologies. What I wanted to speak about today was on the PRT side, that is the pressure reducing turbines. I'll just come down to that slide. So basically, in any industry, we have the boilers, and we have also sort of a power
sorry,
plant.
Zaran, can you make it into full screen mode? Sorry about that.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just skip this part. Okay. So in any in any industry, there are basically few types of power plants that we're talking about. One is where you have power completely supplied to the grid. That is, basically power generation plants. And you have got heat and combined heat and power plants that I will more talk about, where we have it more for the industrial use, wherein you supply steam to the industry, and whatever byproducts of the steam at lower pressure is going to the industry, and the high pressure steam is used for power generation. So this is one of the views of this sort of a cogeneration power plant, where we have the boiler generating steam for the turbine, and the steam further being used in the process industry for its use. These are some images of a high pressure power plant. I'll just skip this part. I'll come to more on what our topic of discussion is today, the PRT, where we talk of small scale power generation or captive power plants of the smaller sizes. So most of the industries already have a low pressure boiler available with them. And that is where we talk of putting a PRT and generating small scale power. The small scale power can be as small as 50 kilowatts up to 800 kilowatts. So traditionally, all the industries use a pressure reducing valve, wherein the pressure of the boiler is reduced by this valve, and there is the steam provided to the process. whereas we provide a turbine in the place of a valve. By that, we are able to generate power, which is going to be of great use, and the paybacks are very short for any industry. So this is one such installation which we have of a turbine, as you can see. So we've got a very small turbine per se, very easy to operate, and any industry that uses a boiler can generate their own power through this system. So the way it works is very simple. You have in high pressure steam that is at the inlet of the turbine. That is either 10 bar, 17 bar, whatever is the boiler capacity. And then you have the back pressure from the turbine at around 3 or 4 bar. That is whatever is the pressure required at the process end. And this turbine is very simple. It is a low RPM turbine, and it's as small as a probably office table, to install. And we are able to generate power at a very good economy, and the paybacks are less than a year as well, which we have seen at many cases. So if you can see, this is just an image of a turbine installed in Thailand in a paper industry. So yeah. So what we are trying to show here through this image is how easily a turbine can operate. We just set up the back pressure points and at the inlet of the turbine, and you can maintain the pressure and the temperatures as required for the process and get your power outputs at the end. So in this case, we are almost generating 300 odd kilowatts of power, which was not available at the earlier site where you had only the boiler and the process. So by involving this turbine, we have easily generated power, which is of a great payback to the client. So just summarizing it, if you see the pipeline in gold is where the steam is supplied from the process boiler to the process. And what we've done is we've just added a PRV, a parallel turbine in place by installing 2 pipelines at the inlet and the outlet of the PRV station. And that is how we have put this turbine into place. I'll skip this part. I'll just talk on the main power generation. Yeah. So for any process industry, so from 5 tons to 20 tons of steam flow, we are able to generate, say, from 75 kilowatts to 525 kilowatts. And the inlet pressures, as we see here, are all of the standard boilers. They don't need to have specific high pressure boilers, as in the case of power generation. We can do it from low pressure steam and generate power out of it. So it was just a brief. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zaran. And I believe that, you already have installations in Africa and other parts of the world, and you're keen to look at exploring the European market as well. So yeah, we're hoping to see if we can, that through some of the partners through Enterprise Europe Network, we're able to identify some potential partners and leads for you in the European market. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to invite Mr. Prakash Thakwani, the techno-commercial head of Radhe Group. So they have developed a patented system for the permanent disposal of waste plastic, tires, municipal solid waste in an environmentally friendly way. So Mr. Prakash, it would be great to hear from you about your technology.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the global business team for giving us the opportunity to talk here. I think I am audible for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Prakash Thakwani. I am the techno-commercial head from the Radhe Group of Energy. Actually, we are in this energy since 30 years. We are in this field. You can say we are in the renewable energy and waste to energy. So mainly, we just want to talk about the pyrolysis technology, but I just want to give you the brief about our three technologies. Mainly, we are into the biomass gasification technology. Then the second one is to produce a pure carbon monoxide. And the third one, that is the pyrolysis. The first is the gasification technology. We can convert any agriculture waste like biomass or any other waste into gas. Then that gas can be converted into as a fuel. You can use in a furnace, kilns, anywhere. Or rather, you can, by cleaning that gas, that can be used for the power. So for that gasification, we have more than 1,000 installation all over world. We have an African region, we have in Bangladesh, in Nepal, and in the India. In the India, mainly, we are having more than 65% of stack in the thermal for that installation only. So the industry like steel, ceramic, minerals, all have our plants. The big names like Tata, you can say the Simpolo. We just now fitting one plant in the Exide batteries for that recycling plant to again smelt the lead. So the gasification will give you the cheaper solution on the fossil fuels like LNG, natural gas, and the LPG. So you can replace that highly costly fuel with the gasification technologies. So mainly this is the technology for the gasification. The second one is the carbon monoxide that we are generating from the CPC coal. The coal which is used for the petrochemical, we are getting that coal. That coal we are converted into the carbon monoxide. So how we are converting? We have the syngas, like we are converting coal into syngas. Then in syngas we have hydrogen and carbon monoxide, the main two contents. So we are converting all syngas into the carbon monoxide. The pure carbon monoxide, we are getting around 99% of pure carbon monoxide that can be used to produce like a phosgene. That is the main content for the pharma industry. We have fitted so many plants in the Alembic pharma. Now we are fitting in some pesticide industry. So carbon monoxide is a huge requirement for the every industry, for the chemical and for the pharma industries, to produce phosgene and the sedation drugs. And also for the carbonyl powder, like heavy metal industry, for the precise work, they also need that. Now we move to the third technology. That is our patented technology, the pyrolysis. So the pyrolysis we have developed before 10 years, and we are running, you can say, the world's biggest plant, 100 metric ton per day. We are treating 100 metric ton waste tire every day to produce more than 40 ton of oil, 30 ton of carbon. And then the gas, again, we are using to produce the silicate. So let me give you the brief about that. So this is the typical continuous pyrolysis process. We have a special patented pyrolysis reactor where we are treating continuously the tire into that reactor. Then from that, we are getting more than 40 to 45% of oil that can be used as a low sulfur oil to replace the LDO, furnace oil, natural gas, and anything. Then the 30 to 35 ton, around 30 to 35% of the carbon, the raw carbon, which is coming from the waste tire, that carbon can be again reused for the rubber industry, for the plastic industry, any industry. Again, we are treating that carbon into a high green. So it will be again granulized, again reformed, then again that can be used as a very highly valuated product for the tire. So the third, I cannot change the slide, I think. Yes, next.
Krishna, which slide you want to display on the screen?
The third, seventh one.
Okay.
Go upside, go upside,
This one?
upside again. Yeah, seventh, okay. Seventh slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically this is the slide for the how the tire can be treated. So let me tell you, this is just not for the tire, but you can treat any plastic. Any plastic waste, like there is so much plastic in the world with the MSW. So the same technology we are giving for the waste plastic. The plastic again can be converted like tire into oil and carbon and gas. So the main this is the main diagram of the tire will be crushed, then go to the reactor, then the mainly three items will be come out. There will be a carbon, there will be a oil, and there will be an NCG. This gas is coming out of the reactor that can be again reused for the process, or we can use as a thermal fuel. It's having a high CV like LPG. We have developed a special generator to run with this gas, so you also can generate a power. Next slide. So let me tell you in brief. These three technology, we are the own developer of this, and we are the 30 years old company. We have partners in Turkey, the Gimas International. Now we are setting a plant in West Virginia with the Clean Sea technology in USA for the cleaning all sea of USA and converted it into a good value-added oil. So that oil can be purchased by Shell. So we have already joint venture in the West Virginia. So just brief me, we are into three technologies: gasification, carbon monoxide, and the pyrolysis. The pyrolysis is the main concern of the waste now, to treat any waste tire, any waste plastic, or you can also treat a waste biomass. In biomass, you will get the higher side of carbon, not oil, because it has a good content of carbon. So we can offer any technology for any waste. You just have to send us the analysis of the waste, then we can give you the solution. We have so much tie-up with the Terry, Niri, Zeppelin. They are the all giving the certificate, and we have everything with tie-up with them. So that is from my side. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing about your patented technology and your interest in collaborating with European organizations to deploy the solution in the West. So basically, with that, I think we're done with the round of Indian companies. We had close to about 4 companies that showed us their interest to ask for requests for technologies, as well as we had presentations from 2 Indian companies that have technologies to offer as well for the European market. So we're looking forward to getting a lot of interest from the European side, both in terms of the technology requests as well as technology offers. With that, I would like to kind of invite Mr. Christos from DG Grow from the European Commission. Basically, he'll be talking about the green tech the role of EU and EN in establishing synergies between Europe and India. Christos, over to you.
Hello, let me know if you can see and hear me.
Yes, we can.
Nice, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to apologize for not being able to join from the very beginning of the meeting, but I'm responsible for a sector group within the EN, and we had the big meeting today in the morning, and I had to be presenting there as well. So I had to switch, so very sorry for that. I've been with you for the last 25-30 minutes, and I can tell that this meeting is extremely interesting. So maybe we should have started first with the policy part, because I think it will be very dull for you After all the presentations I've heard so far, it's really, really interesting. Nevertheless, again, thank you very much for this invitation. As you said correctly, I am Christos, and I'm working in the Enterprise Europe Network team of DG GROW in the unit D2 of the European Commission. I will be very brief because, as I said, the focus should be on, and what will remain after this meeting is the very interesting presentations that I've heard so far, and I'm sure even before, the ones I lost. But just to give you some policy perspective from our side is, first of all, as you probably already know, or if you don't, I will update you on this. Our President, Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the Commission, in her annual State of the Union address on the 13th of September, very recently in Strasbourg, she set the political priorities for the year to come, as every year. This is an annual exercise. So far, I have a sore throat. Sorry for speaking a bit weird. So far, from our side, from the Commission side, our main focus has been to implement the European Green Deal. The President, in her State of the Union address, stressed that the wind industry, which is an element very focal to the European Green Deal, as we all know, is faced with challenges. And she concluded in her State of the Union address that the aim should be to ensure green tech is made in Europe. We have to admit that from the EU side, we have managed to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels in the recent years. Especially COVID was a factor that, let's say, made this a bit weaker. And we are in this effort to try to meet our 2030 targets on renewable energy. But this is a very ambitious target. And the way things progress, this target seems not to be so realistic at this point. To address such challenges like extreme supply chain bottlenecks and a record high inflation that the EU was faced with, especially during COVID, and this was even more aggravated with the Russian aggression to Ukraine, the war in Europe. The President announced a new European wind power package, which will be working closely with industry and member states. This package is very important because, first of all, it let's say helps give a jump in policy support to get on track with the green goals. So in a way, it's a kind of fast track for the current legislation as it already exists. It improves the auction systems, and it focuses a lot on skills, which is something very crucial for the Commission at this point, to help create the right profile of employees for the ambitious plans that we have for 2030. And as we all know, this is a problem, this is a challenge for the EU, because currently we are faced with acute skills shortages. We have, it's the first time in the EU, but we have such high unemployment rates, yet there are so many vacant positions, which means that something has changed a lot during the last years. The type of jobs have changed, and yet we don't have the people with the right skills to fulfill these vacant positions. So this is very important. Ursula von der Leyen mentioned that the wind industry is a European success story, and as it seems, it's supposed to generate many, many thousands of extra work and jobs by 2030, and this translates into billions of investments. Yet, as I said before, lacking the right profile of people with the right skills is an important element here. Also, earlier in March already, we proposed the Net Zero Industry Act, the NZIA, which is also again part of fundamental part and element of the Green Deal as a pillar. The Net Zero Industry Act proposed actually how to strengthen the European manufacturing capacity of net zero technologies and to create overall a more investment-friendly environment. And this is very, very important, an investment-friendly environment. It actually also demonstrates our commitment from the EU side to lead the net zero technology transition to climate neutrality. And it facilitates investments in net zero technology manufacturing projects. From the EN side, we think that the network as it is and the more specific and expert sector groups that we have, as we call them, working groups, I would say in general, just not to confuse you, can play an important role in identifying potential strategic projects that could receive investments under the Net Zero Industry Act. We are planning to have a mechanism in place to signal such strategic projects to the relevant member state authorities so that we can immediately inform all our networks promptly as soon as possible so that we can see what role we can play there. I don't want to take more of your time. As I see, I'm aware of the time and I think we are a bit running late. So this is from my side. Thank you very much for your invitation. And I'm sure the meeting is it's already recorded. Okay, so we will be able to follow up with the parts that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Christoph. Thank you. And I think, thank you for your inputs. And there seem to be a lot of, similar problems that India and Europe are kind of trying to address, whether it's in terms of technology or whether it's in skill development. So I think there is a lot of potential for collaboration. And we're looking forward to taking this forward along with the Enterprise Europe Network as well. Lina, over to you for your final comments. And anybody also, if you have any questions, you can either raise your hands or put it up in the chat.
Let's open up for question and answer now. I think we've had a whole series of presentations and everybody has been very patient to listen, but we have a European audience listening in to, all the Indian speakers. So, we're happy to open up now for question and answer. You could open your, unmute, open up your video and introduce yourself and ask your question. If you're also more comfortable, you could type your question into chat and then, and address to which speaker you are addressing the question to. Do I see any raised hands for, or you can just feel free to unmute and open your video and ask your question.
If I may say, also in writing, I mean, not in the chat room, but we can also receive questions or comments or also from our side, I mean, from DigiGrow side, I can be sure that we would be happy also and grateful to receive your comments or positions and how you think about certain things in writing by email at your own pace. Because I know that sometimes participants are a bit reluctant in taking the floor.
Sure, absolutely. Well said, Christos. In fact, for all the European companies participating or the EN nodes, if you have interest in any of the Indian companies, I mean, think of this as a virtual mission. You can please reach out to this email ID. That's Harsha's email ID, and share, your interest with your contact details. in terms of which Indian company you'd be interested in partnering with, a brief description of your organization, and also the technology solution that you are interested to adopt or to offer, because we've had both technology requests and offers from India in this webinar. So this is one way to feel free to reach out to us with the following information, expressing your interest basically in taking things forward. So also, we had 1.5 hours today, so we could only bring about 6 organizations to present at this webinar. But I think at the start of my presentation, I have really shared about all of the different areas in which India is looking for technology partnerships. So we welcome also if there are solutions or European technology companies in any of the renewable energy or energy efficiency areas that I had discussed and described the market opportunities for today. Please feel free to also drop us an email and give us a little bit of detail about what is your specific interest, and also how we could support your company with partnerships here in India. So that's really the next step, because once you share your interest, just to let you know, the next steps will be, we'll facilitate the partnership with the specific Indian company. If they were not already here on this webinar, we will reach out to appropriate Indian partners for you on the ground here in India. And once we facilitate, those partnerships, also support with the deployment advisory for deployment of those solutions in India. Remember, you have Enterprise Europe Network in Europe, and also supporting us. You have supporting you. You have GBI in India to facilitate these partnerships. It's like a unique time. One is there is the business opportunity. There are the technologies available, and I think what we here as EN are saying is you also have now the support services to facilitate in a very, I say, credible manner, in a very process-driven manner, the partnerships between European and Indian entities. And furthermore, I wanted to, before we wrap up today, share some of the opportunities, for EU-India partnership through other European schemes. I'm going to go one by one. So first of all, I think to build awareness to all of the European entities participating today, there is, you can leverage the Horizon Europe Innovate scheme to actually get funded to look at your India market access and development activities. So the Innovate scheme, which you have the last date for submission is around the corner at 17th October. It was launched actually in July, and it opens up every year. But if you are still interested, you get funding to actually look at co-creation, market research, business prospection trips, basically your market validation and market entry into India. So if you need further information, again, you can contact us. So that's about Innovate. The second thing is that the EU delegation is in the process of developing one of the first projects related to the Trade and Technology Council. It will be focused on EV battery and recycling. And once this project is announced, we will be reaching out to all of you, because it will be open to both Indian and European innovators of EV battery and recycling solutions. And what you will essentially get is, first of all, information on, India or European policies, opportunities, business models, financing, etc. So first of all, awareness, but most importantly, about 5 companies from India and 5 companies from Europe will be selected to actually travel to India and Europe respectively on missions to connect and have B2B meetings and develop business opportunities in each other's markets. So keep an eye out for this. And if you're interested in this, you can already drop us a mail, so we keep you, informed once this project is announced. And third, a couple of more things. There's a very exciting program we've lined up for the end of November, from November 27 to December 1st, inviting innovators and SMEs from across Europe to participate in an immersion program to connect with the ecosystem in India. We have a couple of days with the Global Innovation Expert Program in Bangalore to meet with Bangalore's innovation and technology ecosystem, followed by participation in Asia's largest tech fest, which takes place in Bangalore, called the Bangalore Tech Summit. So if you're interested in either of these opportunities to make your first steps into India, please feel free to reach out as well. And as I mentioned, as a direct offshoot of today's program, please do express your interest, and we look forward to continuing working on the EU-India Green Tech platform. As we talked about and many people mentioned, it's just the beginning, and we look forward to developing this further along with you. So I don't know if we still have any questions. I'm just going to pause for a bit and before I wrap up.
Well, hello to everybody. I have no questions actually, but I just want to introduce our company. First of all, thank you for this webinar. It was really very interesting. I am technical director of Concert. We are located in Italy, near Milano, and we work since several years in LCA, life cycle assessment. So we work with all companies like the one we saw today and with construction companies to evaluate the impact of a process or a service. And then we can help companies to get the EPD, Environmental Product Declaration, that is now needed for a kind of product and for the buildings. So we also work on LCA of buildings. So we were very interested in a cooperation with and I will send you all the details about Concert soon. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you, Cecilia. Nice to hear from you, and what you envision. Definitely do share your information across with us. Okay, great. I think we are run out of time as well. So I just want to quickly wrap up. I think it's been a very interesting, a set of presentations we have had today, discussions, and we look forward to continuing collaborating with all of you in the weeks and months to come, and also keep you all informed about upcoming activities at the EU-India level. Thank you all for taking your time to join us today, and have a wonderful rest of the day or rest of the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.